What is up, Roblox? I'm Tatsumi, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the newest and most up-to-date tips and tricks in RFTI. I'll be talking about all of these tips and more in 2 upcoming videos, both also being tutorials for the game, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on those. So before we get into this video, I'm going to be explaining what's going to be shown on the screen, because apparently last time, it didn't work out so well. In the upper left corner, you'll see the tip number. This is the number that represents, well, what tip we're on. The upper right shows you whether the tip is for casual players, competitive players, or both, since we happen to have a massive difference in what a casual player would need and what a competitive player would need to be good in RFTI. And finally, if the tip was created by somebody else, I'll be crediting them in the bottom left. With this being said, let's finally get into the first tip. So what you're going to want to do, this is universal for both casual and competitive players, but learn the slide jump mechanic. The movement of RTI is not like any other Xbox game. It is not B-hopping based. It is basically just a run and shoot game. And slide jumping is the fastest way you can travel around the map. By optimizing your slide and optimizing when you can jump, you will basically get the most out of the distance and the mileage in a given map. And it also helps for evasion and getting around opponents so you can fight back if you are being pressured. Which is why I'm putting, well, slide jumping in the front of all these tips. So the next tip we're going to cover is something that was given to me by DairyNoob, but is universal for all casual players, and I'm assuming it's casual because you're going to be a casual player when you first get in, and that is learn the items, maps, and modes. This is, at its core, the most essential thing anybody in any skill level can do. But I'm assuming by the time you want to be competitive, you already know how every item works. In which, in my advanced tutorial, I will be covering every item, what their pros and cons are, and some of the better loadouts that you could possibly run in RTI. So the items, maps, and modes, they are the most important things to learn because they all scale differently and all have different effects based on what you're running, what map you're playing, and the game mode you're playing the map on. I can't really say anything else. Another tip given to me by DairyNoob is learn player movement. And this is like essential for competitive players. If you are trying to actually get good at the game, you are going to want to learn how players move and how you're going to be interacting with other players. Casual players or more new players to the game don't necessarily know the movement. They're pretty static, they walk in a straight line, and it's very easy to like get around them and hit them. However, they do have their moments where they actually do somehow pop off. And so this is why I'm saying it's important to learn player movement. There are tons of different movement styles to the game of RFTI, surprising as it is, considering that you only have the running and then the slide jumping. But yeah, this is like the thing that can make or break any competitive 1v1 or FFA or whatever you're playing in RFTI. This will make or break your competitive run, so learn this. The next thing given to me by Phil Buckworth is practice accuracy. This is a casual and competitive mix of stuff, so I mean it just varies depending on the kind of player you are, but if you're trying to be like a casual player, definitely still learn accuracy, because you're not going to have a very fun time playing RFTI if you can never land your hits, like period. Even if it's like in the first like 2 hours, and you don't get very far in the game, this is where the practice accuracy comes in. This is not a regular shooter or fighter game. It's gravity and physics based projectiles. There's like speeds at which these objects move, and they also have an effect due to gravity. They have arcs and all these other complicated things that you need to learn and grasp before you can start actually playing the game in like the sense of playing the game. Without this, you're just gonna fall flat. So the next tip we have received is a tip from Dirt Eater and Zynical, as well as Very Z on his RFTI, how to get good at RFTI video, which is pretty outdated, but it's still relevant, and it fits both the casual and competitive, which is do not stop moving. Movement is literally the pinnacle of RFTI. Movement is how you play the game. Without movement, you can't really go anywhere, you can't travel, you can't engage your opponent, you can't dodge them, you can't fight back. Movement is the thing that RFTI relies on for like the sense of the competitive, you know? Including the casual too. Without movement, you're just a stationary object ready to get mauled by literally any object that can do damage in RFTI. So please, get good at moving. The final important tip that we have, which isn't really important, but it's just the final tip that I've collected for casual and competitive, it is keep track of your opponents. I swear to God, it feels so weird just running up to someone and walloping them, even though they literally knew where you were 15 seconds ago. Keep track of your opponents, otherwise you have a very high risk of dying to them because they know where you are, but you just lost them. If that makes any sense. I have literally no idea how better to describe this. Just if you lose them, this creates an issue, so get an understanding of player movement so this never happens to you. And this is going to be the end of, well, the tips. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will likely be a YouTube short, which will probably be soon. Alright. See ya.